You know what I love about old rock photos? They catch something the music can't. The look in someone's eyes right before they go on stage. The way a band sits together when they don't know anyone's watching. 50 years later, you look at these pictures and you can still feel it. That electricity. That moment right before everything changed. Stick around. I've got some stories to tell. Janis Joplin and Big Brother backstage in Detroit, 1968. Their album Cheap Thrills was #1, but this was the end of the road. Janis was about to leave the band that made her famous, chasing a new sound and her own destiny. Creedence Clearwater Revival in London, 1970. This photo was for the cover of their album Pendulum. At the peak of their powers, John Fogerty's experiments with new sounds created tensions that would soon fracture America's greatest rock and roll band. Brian Jones, 1963. Before everything went sideways, he was the one running the show. Found the musicians, named the band, shaped the sound. This is Brian when the Stones were still his dream. The blues kid from Cheltenham who started it all. Mick Fleetwood in 1981. As the members of Fleetwood Mac drifted apart to make solo albums, Mick went to Africa to record his own. This photo captures the adventurous spirit of the eccentric, steadfast drummer who was the band's true heart. Bob Dylan with John Sebastian in Greenwich Village, 1965. This photo captures a last, quiet moment in the traditional folk scene. Just months later, Dylan would release Like a Rolling Stone, go electric at Newport, and burn all the old bridges. Freddie Mercury with Mary Austin, the love of his life. She was his partner, his muse, and his closest, most trusted friend until the very end. He wrote the timeless ballad, Love of My Life, just for her. Mark Knopfler, 1982. Love Over Gold Sessions. He could spend hours on one guitar tone, one note, one mix. Drove people crazy. But listen to that album. Every sound in the right place. This is the guy who didn't know how to cut corners. Marianne Faithfull, 1967. Yes, she was with Mick, but she was a star before that. Her own records, her own audience. Then came the Redlands bust, the headlines, the myth. This is her right before everything changed. The Electric Warrior himself, Mark Bolan, in 1971. This was the year his band, T-Rex, became bigger than the Beatles in Britain. His infectious rock and roll and flamboyant, glitter-drenched style single-handedly started the glam rock revolution. The Mamas and the Papas. Those harmonies, pure California sunshine. But behind the scenes, a mess. Everyone with everyone. Jealousy, heartbreak, the works. The songs came out perfect anyway. Maybe because of it. They didn't last long, but man, while it worked. Mick Jagger, 1966. With the album Aftermath, he and Keith were now writing all the rules. The car, an Aston Martin, was pure James Bond. It was a sign that the rock and roll rebels had become the new royalty. Robert Plant and Iggy Pop, 1975. Stadium rock meets the underground. Plant was filling arenas, Iggy was bleeding in clubs. Two completely different worlds, and here they are, same room, same night. Rock and roll's weird like that sometimes. The Demon and the Diva, 1979. Gene Simmons's high-profile romance with Cher was tabloid gold. But she was more than just a girlfriend. She famously recommended drummer Eric Carr to the band, helping to launch the next era of Kiss. Two Beatles and a Rocket Man, 1987. This was the year George Harrison made his big comeback with Cloud 9. This photo captures the triumphant celebration, a party between old friends that would lead directly to the traveling Wilburys. The Thin White Duke meets the Folk Kings at the Grammys, 1975. Bowie was in his plastic soul phase, a world away from Simon and Garfunkel. A legendary photo of the ultimate outsider officially crashing the music industry's biggest party. George Harrison, Hamburg, 1961. 18 years old, playing 8-hour sets in sweaty clubs, learning everything the hard way. This is where the Beatles became a real band. Before the screaming, before the fame, just the work. The Rolling Stones in 1966, the year of aftermath. They were at their creative peak, with Brian Jones adding exotic textures to their sound. This photo captures a brilliant, fleeting moment, just before the band's internal dynamics would change forever. David Gilmour, Netherlands, 1971. Floyd was deep into the Echoes sessions, 23 minutes of sound going places rock hadn't been before. And Gilmour was the one who made it human. That guitar, that voice, the soul in the machine. The Byrds on Ed Sullivan, 1965. This was the moment folk rock conquered America. Their electric version of Bob Dylan's poetry and the jingle-jangle of their Rickenbacker guitars became the signature sound of a generation. John Bonham in the studio, 1969. That drum sound, huge, alive, like nothing before it. Engineers had to put his kit in hallways, stairwells, anywhere with space to breathe. He didn't just play drums, he made them roar. Pink Floyd's first and only American tour with Syd Barrett, 1967. What should have been a triumphant arrival was a disaster. Syd's erratic behavior on this tour forced the band's hand, leading them to bring in David Gilmour soon after. The Glimmer Twins in LA, 1972, trying to finish Exile on Main Street. After the wild sessions in France, they were left with a mountain of ragged tapes. This was the moment they salvaged a masterpiece from the mess. The godfather of punk, Iggy Pop, in 1979. The Stooges were long gone, but the raw, animalistic energy never left. This photo captures the untamable spirit of one of rock and roll's most fearless and influential performers. The Stones meet the godfather of soul at the TAMI show in 1964. They were the headliners, but they had to follow James Brown. Keith Richards later called it the biggest mistake of their lives, a legendary lesson in showmanship. John Bonham at Earl's Court, 1975. This legendary 5-night stand captured Led Zeppelin at their epic peak. For 3.5 hours a night, Bonzo was the thunderous engine driving the most powerful rock and roll band on Earth. Jim Morrison, 1969, facing the consequences of the Miami concert. The legal battles that followed took a heavy toll, pushing him further away from the rock star persona he had come to despise. The beginning of the end. John Fogerty, 1970, the year of Cosmo's Factory. He was the singular genius behind Creedence, writing an unbelievable string of hits. But his intense, perfectionist control was already creating the tensions that would tear the band apart. Moon the Loon at Home, 1973. Despite his impressive car collection, he couldn't legally drive. It didn't stop him from famously driving one into a swimming pool. A rare, quiet moment in the wild life of rock's greatest drummer. The original street-walking cheetah, Lou Reed, in 1976. After the abrasive noise of metal machine music, he showed a softer side, a rare, candid moment of warmth from the notoriously tough poet laureate of the New York underground. A young, carefree Metallica in 1986. They were on top of the world, touring for their masterpiece, Master of Puppets. A happy moment, just months before the bus accident that would claim bassist Cliff Burton. He was only 24.